Shut up and sit down.
Shut up and sit down. You're listening to The Useful Idiots. And we're back, everyone. This is The Useful Idiots. I'm Luke.
Hey, and this is Paul.
And this is going to be our fifth show. Today is May 26th of 2016. And looks like we have I guess it's really a slow news week, but we do have some good stories anyways, because we can go ahead and just search through the internet and find some hidden gems.
I was very captivated by the news this week. I didn't think it was a slow news week.
Oh, you didn't?
Well, I mean, maybe
I did.
Maybe, in our world, it was entertaining.
That's a good point. Yeah, in the overall world, it's really nothing. But we had an event that happened over the week that a flight went missing going over Egypt. There was the MS-804 Egyptian flight, which did supposedly, we're not really sure yet, crashed. And I guess we're still actually being investigated. And we'll go ahead and touch up on that. We do have Milo Yiannopoulos. Yiannopoulos?
That sound...
It's the best
I have no
do.
idea how to say his last name, but he's simply Milo to
It's a Greek name. We'll call him Milo throughout the show, though. So if you hear Milo, we're talking Milo Yiannopoulos. And he had an event where he had an event at DePaul where Black Lives Matter protest, BLM protesters stormed the stage, cut off his event in their protest. And then I guess really the last thing we're probably going to talk about today, we might touch on a couple things, but the last thing really would probably going to be the Facebook conservative, what do you want to call it?
Controversy?
Yeah, we'll call it debacle. The debacle, yeah, the controversy.
I was trying to be generous there.
No, it's a debacle, you know that? And we basically have just a little bit of inside information on that, where basically they're just trying to go and hide the conservative news on the website, so people do not get to see it. They're kind of burying it. And,
Orwellianly.
Yeah, Orwellian.
Is Orwellianly, is that a word?
Oh, it's a word. Yeah, it's definitely
Orwellianly.
a word. Yeah, just that control of the media. It's kind of going on over Facebook.
Ingsoc.
And nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
I'm just going to shout random things from 1984 at random points.
Yeah, we'll see how many of our listeners actually even know what you're talking about.
Ignorance is strength.
Ignorance is strength.
Ding.
Ignorance is bliss. That's what it is. All right. Could you imagine if we were ignorant?
Well, it would be strength. Ignorance is strength.
Ignorance, sure.
I'm trying to stick with 1984.
Get off 1984. All right, and I guess I kind of wanted to open it up just by saying one quick thing about Rand Paul. He is actually proposing a bill in the Senate as of right now of trying to go ahead and dismantle the draft. He does not want to go ahead and believe that a military draft is a good thing for his country, and he wants to rid it of the American policy, which you might have heard that applause from Paul. I didn't know Paul was actually all for the dismantling of the draft. I know I am.
I mean, I'm for it, but if
You're for the draft, huh?
well, I just don't see how it wouldn't just come back if shit hit the fan.
Well, if shit hit the fan, then people will go ahead and just voluntarily go ahead and put up their.
That's true.
Their American pride's going to go ahead and pick up.
Volunteers would shoot up if there was an emergency.
It's not going to be an issue. Over 320 million, where we can say safely that 50% of Americans at least really love this country. We know that some of them are going to go ahead and join up. We'll be fine if there's any issues, if we ever have a situation like that. We do not need a draft. Plus, who's to say that the government has any right over your body to go and say, no, you're forced to go and fight for us? You don't even have to disagree. You don't have to agree with what they're fighting for, but you're still being forced to do it because of a draft. You have to go and really think of it from that perspective.
My opinion might change on this because I think in a couple of years I might not be eligible for it anymore. So
draft.
So I'll be out for the
as long as you're not going.
Right.
That's right. Your kids will go ahead and just be thrown into it. That's the best.
All right, against the draft.
Against the draft. So, yeah, I don't really. I guess I just wanted to go ahead and say that. Go ahead and give him a nice little applause for the fact that we have a man who's willing to go and fight for our personal
So
liberties and our
he
freedoms.
introduced the bill. Was there a vote on it or
Not
anything
yet.
like
He's
that?
just kind of.
Oh, yeah.
He's still kind of advertising it and marketing it to the actual other senators. I doubt it's going to pass.
Because that audit the Fed bill, that sure was successful. Let me tell you.
It was off by
That was kind
four
of,
votes,
That was
man.
kind of a dig there.
It was off by 4 votes, 3 votes, 2
I mean,
votes even.
where was
fell in.
Ted Cruz? He maybe should have showed up to.
Yeah,
to
he
vote
wasn't
there.
going to win the dang presidency. Why did he have to go ahead and skip that? Bring up Milo. I do kind of want to talk about Milo and the event that happened.
Oh,
at
you want to
DePaul.
talk about Milo?
Well-
You want to? I was the one last several days saying Milo, 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 Milo DePaul, Milo, 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 Milo.
You were extremely excited about it.
I
get it.
was.
So I'm going to let you open up the Milo Yiannopoulos segment.
So Milo, not how do you say Yiannopoulos?
Yiannopoulos. Yeah.
He is the tech editor at Breitbart.com, and he has a college campus tour where he goes and speaks at various colleges, and wherever he goes, controversy follows.
Which is
And-
surprising. I mean, it's not even the controversy that we would assume for a gay man talking at events. Because you would assume that if it's a gay man, you would maybe have some hard Christian protesters.
So you think the right would protest?
You would
it.
think you would only assume that from what media has told us and the propaganda that we've heard that only the right hates gays. We haven't heard of one person protesting on the right of Milo. I mean, of course, I haven't done the research to really look into that, but in any instance that I know of, there hasn't been any right-leaning.
Well, Milo's still not. I mean, he's on the rise. I will say that he's an up and coming right wing pundit, speaker, whatever he is. But I still don't think he doesn't quite have that mainstream success that like a Bill O'Reilly or a Rush Limbaugh has.
Not yet.
So
yeah.
a large portion of the audience is probably unaware of Milo, I would say.
Do you think that would change anything with the right-wing, die-hard Christians?
I don't know, because if he's saying things that they agree with,
But he says things that they disagree with also.
well, I don't.
I mean, he talks about how hot some guys are.
Well-
that happens during his events.
All I can say is I agree with a lot of what Milo says, and I can only speak as to how I feel about him myself. I mean, I find him enjoyable, and the thing that I think is what generates the amount of heat that he gets from the left. I don't think it necessarily has to do with his sexuality. I think it has, sexual preference. I think it has to do with the fact that he's going on college campuses, saying, right-wing conservative ideas.
Yeah, because he is a right-leaning news editor, or he is a gay conservative.
Yeah, and he's going into college campuses, which college campuses over the last however many 40 years have become liberal
Safe havens.
fortresses.
Yeah, fortresses, safe havens. Yeah, they are really spreading. I don't even know how, intolerance is really the only word I can think of.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Milo's exposing the intolerance that the left has.
Intolerance and hypocrisy, because if you really think about it, there really aren't any left-leaning speakers that go to do events at college campuses that get protested and shouted down and not allowed to actually speak at their own events, while anybody that is right-leaning, even if you are gay, which is supposed to be the now it's LGBT, I'm sorry, the transgender movement, but it's like the whole entire push by the left is to go ahead and really lift up any gay person who's willing to go out and stand up and speak. But now it just seems like Milo, since he's not following their agenda, needs to be shouted down and pushed down, even as a gay man. To me, it's hypocritical and surprising, and I can't get over that fact at all.
I think his ideas are the things that are like his tour is called the Dangerous Faggot Tour, and
Is it really?
Yeah, that's the name of the tour, and I feel like his ideas are dangerous to the left because I feel like he presents things in a different way, and he's going to places that no other conservative person will go to college campuses, and he's trying to go after the youth of America, and he's successful at it. I feel like he's getting a lot of people's attention. I mean, the more controversy that follows him, the more popular he's going to get.
Which I am very happy about. It just, to me, reminds me a lot of successful black men to Democrats. It's like...
You mean someone who doesn't follow their liberal philosophy?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're an Uncle Tom if you're a black man who is successful and speaks against the social welfare programs or the actual growth of the government, while the Democrats are trying to push that agenda, and then successful black men see it as something that's actually holding black people back. But now we have a gay man who is also speaking out against the left and is hated, but they don't have a name to call them. You have Uncle Toms for black people. What do you call a gay man that you disagree with?
A gay conservative man? I don't know if there's a derogatory name for them.
We'll think of a really good term. Yeah, we'll think of a really good term and just start calling them that for the Democrats, maybe.
So Milo went to DePaul, and he's gone on other college campuses, and I've seen some of everything is on YouTube. If you want to look up Milo.
You just type in Milo Yiannopoulos.
Go to YouTube. There's every school he's ever been to is out there. I've seen a few of them, and he goes there, and there's always disruptions. But man, Chicago, we sure take the cake. Just like when Donald Trump came here, there was protesters that stormed the stage pretty early on into the presentation.
Do you know how long into the presentation
I want to say like 25 minutes into it.
So he did make it a little bit of time.
He stormed the stage and then disrupted the presentation, and then it was two people, a man and a woman.
I don't remember two men on this. Oh, you mean like the protesters?
The protesters, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a man and a woman, and neither of them would get off the stage. One of them had a whistle. He kept blowing like a gym whistle.
Which was really crazy. You saw that. He walked up through the... that's how he actually started the whole protest of...
He was whistling as he was walking through the crowd.
Yeah, which was really obnoxious. Extremely obnoxious. Just anybody. I mean, if you're going to storm...
Could you imagine if you were sitting like near the front of the presentation and you had to hear that over and over again?
I may have just stuck my leg out as he walked by. just the hope that he would trip over.
So he... Milo was there. He was sitting on the stage, and there's these two people on the stage.
Two protesters. Black
Lives Matter protesters.
A black man and a black woman for the BLM movement.
And they would not leave the stage, so they called security, and then they called the police, and no one would remove the protesters. And I'm not sure all the logistics of who sponsored the event or who the security was, but no one was doing anything. So Milo just kind of like got off the stage, and he wanted to meet with people and talk to them like individually. So the event kind of went from him giving a presentation to him just kind of mingling with the crowd and talking to people, because they wouldn't... I don't understand why. Also, the guy didn't he have a mic? One of the protesters? Did he have a mic up there?
He might have just taken it away from somebody. I'm not too sure.
I mean, couldn't they have just turned it off? Wouldn't that... But, he was still on the stage and he had
No,
a
he
whistle.
didn't have a mic. No, because I remember I watched the video, and you couldn't really hear what he was saying because of the fact he didn't have a mic.
He was shouting, yeah. That's
but
right,
he was just shouting, down with Trump, something like that. Just
down with Trump.
Like, I don't even believe that they were even talking about Trump during the event. I'm pretty sure Milo didn't even bring up Trump. I'm not too sure about that, but
Trump is the lightning rod right now, though, for the left.
But if you're not talking about him, why would you bother bringing that up?
If you're not for Hillary or Bernie, you're for Trump. I mean, in their mind.
Yeah, in their mind, of course. Yeah, and I guess it should be noted that Milo actually paid for the security. He personally did, of course, pay the security for the event, because it was obviously his event. He felt the need to go and pay for security for it.
Well, it's my understanding. See, there was some odd things about this event. First, okay, I personally looked at Milo's tour schedule before, maybe about a month ago, and the DePaul show was listed, but it was listed as canceled. Now, it said it was canceled, and I kind of personally didn't really, follow it. I didn't know he was coming here. And then all of a sudden, either the day before or the day of, I saw, oh, Milo's here. The DePaul thing is today, or at that time it was today. And, he's giving the presentation. It was back on. I guess one of the issues was that they wanted Milo and I think it was the college Republicans and the other groups that were it wasn't just DePaul University, there were other universities and organizations involved, that they wanted extra security. So the extra security that they paid for didn't do their job and escort any people who were disrupting the show out.
Truthfully, I completely understand why they didn't. They would be outcasted, and the backlash would be intense if they actually did pull these people off the stage. I mean, you might not remember this, but only 4 or 5 months ago, I can't remember how long it was ago, but an officer was called to a school for a black girl who was, they had to call the police for the black girl, which just was disrupting the class.
Oh,
and I don't know if
it was
you
a
remember,
YouTube video.
Yeah. And he ended up pulling her out of her seat, which was absurd how rough he pulled her out of her seat. But because of that, he was fired. And he was just doing his job. He was
that
doing
Chicago? Was that local?
No, that was not local.
Okay.
Yeah, he lost his job because of the fact that he even intervened in the one thing he was told to do, was to escort her out. So it's like now it's kind of like cops are afraid to do their job thoroughly because the backlash will end up being they're going to lose their job. Security, same situation.
Oh, and there was a story that people from the DePaul administration were telling the security and the police to stand down, basically. So there's a lot of mixed signals going on here. Obviously Milo would have liked for the people to have been removed, but the school administration's like, no. You let them up there. So, DePaul has been catching a lot of heat from the right.
Good heat, too, because they are really getting some negative reviews.
Milo's been posting profiles of the professors that work at the school to try and shed light on just how leftist the place is. I never went there personally, but I mean, I've gone to college. I've seen how leftist the places can be.
Yeah, and DePaul is a very respectable school. It's kind of hard
in
to
the
believe
Chicago
this even
area.
happened.
It's one of the top.
Yeah, one of the top schools around here.
There's Northwestern and U of C,
and then DePaul. Yeah, exactly. And I just really want to go ahead and also say that Milo took this event like a champ. I mean, as a guy,
it's not his first rodeo.
It's not his first rodeo at all. Watch any videos of the man. He obviously can get a little heated and angry at times, especially when he's talking to feminists. But
he keeps his cool.
He keeps his cool, and he literally just smiled, let the guy walk up, blowing his whistle, and just kind of like looked at him with just what would you call it?
A smirk.
A smirk. It was just a smirk. Yeah, like he knew what was going on, and he just let it go because he understands it's just not worth getting all upset about it. But yeah, for everyone,
it'd be interesting to see if Milo comes back.
Milo's definitely going to come back. Why would he not? This is what I think he thrives. He thrives with this. He really waits for this to happen because I think that he actually searches for this. The one thing that I wish I could do, if only I was a gay European man, I could go ahead and maybe bring all this heat to me. But
you could go to live in Europe for a few years and come back and.
I could just go to Europe and probably have all this controversy
for being an American.
For being an American, exactly. So everyone that is listening, please go watch some Milo videos. You'll get a kick out of it. You'll enjoy it. And you also go ahead and see the hypocrisy of the people he does argue against. The same things that the people fight against or fight him about. He is the perfect example of a man who has to go through the same struggles as he's actually arguing against. He's a gay man who supposedly is the new black of America, and
as a conservative,
just a gay, just a gay man though is supposedly what the left is saying is like the new blacks of America. They're just like they had to fight for their rights.
Oh, fight for gay rights.
Exactly, fight for the gay rights, and he basically is spending all his time arguing the opposite of that. It's just like he doesn't really follow this whole. He doesn't follow the whole agenda.
No, he doesn't.
I like that.
He's definitely a lightning rod. We'll have to keep our eye on what Milo does in the future. Would like to see him come back into the Chicago area.
I'll go see him if he comes back.
You're going to go see him?
Hell yeah, if he comes back,
we can take Useful Idiots on the road.
Ooh, I got the camera ready.
Oh, speaking of that, I almost forgot. Outside of the Milo event, as all that was going on, outside of the Milo event, Rebel Pundit, who's a right wing. How would you call it? A documentary filmmaker?
Yeah, sure. You can call him that.
A filmmaker.
Just call him commentator, I guess.
Commentator, mostly filmmaker.
Okay.
Rebel Pundit was arrested outside of the school, and he was there filming the event, but he was filming the event more for ironically, a broader commentary about the left in America silencing free speech. And,
while he was silenced.
And according to what I've read, he had proper credentials from DePaul University, but when he was inside filming, they were like, "No, we don't. Sorry, sorry, we don't want you to film." He was now. To be fair, he was kind of asking questions of the protesters in a somewhat inflammatory way.
I didn't really watch the video, so I don't know exactly how he was.
I don't know if the video is actually up on rebelpundit.com yet.
No? It will be soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, if it's not, it soon will be. I mean, he's out of jail now. He did get arrested, and he spent some time in jail. Cops approached him when he was inside of DePaul filming, and he basically wouldn't stop filming, so they arrested him, is what happened.
Just leave it up to the left to silence free speech. You know?
Freedom of the press.
Freedom of the press.
Both of which there.
Yeah. All right, everyone. And we'll come back right after this. We'll talk about Facebook and, of course, maybe touch up on the Egyptian flight of MS-804. We'll be seeing you guys soon. And welcome back to the Useful Idiots. We have Luke and Paul. So we just covered Milo Yiannopoulos and the left's fight against free speech. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the left's fight against free speech. We actually have the Facebook conservative issue, or do you have a better word for this one?
Oh, I get to talk, Mr. Free Speech over there?
Let's cut his mic real quick. All right. Yeah, I don't really know. I just don't want to use debacle again because we already used that once. I used it once.
Controversy.
Yeah, nice. Good.
Yeah.
There we go. So I'm going to get a thesaurus from now on, just to go and be ready for these.
That's not really that uncommon of a word. I wish I had a really uncommon word that I could throw out there.
Controversy?
Yeah.
It's kind of a hard word.
Yeah, you think it's above our audience here? The word controversy.
I mean, I'm an idiot.
Oh yeah, we're the useful idiots. I forget. So, Facebook a few weeks ago, an article came out in Gizmodo, and it was saying that basically, the trending topics on Facebook are manipulated, that they're not true reflections of what people are talking about.
So what does that
discussing. Mean? Well, that Facebook Orwellianly, there we go again.
1984.
Orwellianly manipulates what's trending that fits their political ideology. In other words, they were saying that conservative stories that feature conservatives or from conservative media are being censored on Facebook, and that they are not what's, the stories that are maybe more popular than they are not being featured on the trending now section on Facebook.
Yeah, see, this was kind of a surprise to me, since I didn't really find it a surprising fact that Facebook holds back conservative news outlets, or stories, but because I'm so cut off from this hip, I guess, Facebook.
You have a Facebook?
I do, which is exactly where I'm going. Is that I have never noticed that, because all my links and shares and stories that I get are all conservative based, and I'm not a conservative, but I get all conservative based news sources, so I never saw this happening firsthand, so it's kind of surprising to me.
Well, I don't know if this is quite part of that controversy, but going back to the Milo story, I follow Milo on Facebook. I know we've had a lot of love for Milo.
You got a crush on him
in the previous segment, but to be honest, I'm still relatively new to Milo. I don't follow. He's not my top thing I check every day, so I didn't really see much of anything about the DePaul. Like, Milo was in my town.
That's pretty cool,
right?
Yeah.
But I didn't see that on Facebook until it was practically too late for me to attend.
Yeah, I remember I got the text message
Right,
like,
it was
while it was
like-
about to happen. I didn't even know who Milo even was really. Like even a day before that.
I know I've tried to tell you about him many times before.
Yeah, I never had any interest in watching a gay man talk about conservative news. I just figured it was going to be really stupid. But I love the man now. I really do love the man. But because the Facebook conservative was holding back the conservative news, it became such a huge issue that Mark Zuckerberg actually had to hold a, what would you call it? A
Confab.
Confab? I thought
Yeah.
a conference or something would be the correct.
I just wanted to say confab. Isn't that what?
Sure,
Am I
hey,
using
well,
that right?
He'll call it a confab. I don't even know what a confab
We're the useful
is.
idiots, so I don't. We're gonna throw out words that we don't really know what we mean.
If I had a second, I'd Google confab for everyone. but I had- Confab?
Yeah, I think
All right, we're gonna call it a.
you
we're gonna-
Google and I'll talk about the confab.
Yeah, you talk about a confab for a minute while I Google it, all right?
All right, so what happened was that Mark Zuckerberg invited several conservative news outlets, including like The Blaze with Glenn Beck and Breitbart.com and several others, to come to their headquarters to basically meet with Mark Zuckerberg and talk about this issue with them face to face. Some conservative outlets declined, like Breitbart.com declined, but Glenn Beck went.
Part of the Blaze, of course.
Part of the Blaze. He has his own. Glenn Beck has his own radio show. He had a TV show on Fox for a while.
And now he started his own alternative media, which is all online based for the most part.
Online based, and I think he still has a subscription service as well.
Yeah, he does.
Glenn Beck. I mean, I used to be a huge Glenn Beck fan.
And I don't know why.
Huge. I mean, I thought, around the time when President Obama when they were pushing Obamacare, I thought Glenn Beck was on fire. I thought Glenn Beck was like the future voice of conservatism.
We thought everyone at conservative media was on fire. I mean, come on, even Mark
Well,
Levin, everybody was.
maybe we burst into flames back then with we don't want Obamacare to pass.
We'll wait till Hillary Bernie become president. We'll get our fame then.
I was kind of trying to do Mark Levin a little bit there.
Mark Levin would be more like this, a little more nasally.
So anyway, they had a conference at
Sorry,
Facebook.
confab, which is an informal private conversation or discussion.
I guess it wasn't a confab because it was a pretty formal discussion or conversation.
I suppose, but they did have non-disclosure agreements.
See, I was getting to that.
I had to
was
beat
trying
you to
to
it.
I was
Had it.
trying to set the table here going into the. Well, we don't know 100% if it was NDAs, but it was pretty likely that they signed non-disclosure.
It was
agreements.
NDAs. They definitely had non-disclosure agreements.
So what happened was conservative pundits, I think there were 16 of them, including Glenn Beck and S.E. Cupp.
S.E. Cupp also being a Fox News contributor.
She was a Fox News contributor. I believe she's on CNN now.
Oh, well, good for her.
She does stuff on CNN now.
Which she's pretty hot for anybody who wants to
totally hot. Can't deny that.
Yeah.
So, S.E. Cupp, Glenn Beck, and others go to Facebook's headquarters, and we don't really know what was said.
Isn't that unfortunate?
They haven't really. People who went to this event haven't really gone into too much detail as to what exactly was said.
Which leads us to go ahead and follow the NDA belief.
But oh boy, they had nothing but good things to say about Facebook. So something was said, some kind of deal was struck, in my opinion. And now they're like singing the praise. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg is wonderful. Oh, Facebook. I mean, they were posting pictures and videos on their way to Facebook in the headquarters, all around the event. And man, what a bunch of suck-ups. I mean,
Conspiracy.
but what a bunch of suck-ups. Like, of course, Mark Zuckerberg is a billionaire or whatever, and he invited them there, and it was like they saw stars, or some kind of deal was reached or something.
Glenn Beck's easily swayed. You have to go ahead and understand that by now. Austin Peterson is now his beloved man. Ted Cruz is gone. Now Austin Peterson is his man.
I thought Austin Peterson was your beloved man too.
No. We've talked
sure?
about Austin Peterson. AP4P. Austin Peterson for president. Nah, I disagree with that.
You disagree with that, but
Yeah, there's other people that are better.
I still think that he's your favorite.
Well, besides McAfee, he definitely does.
Besides McAfee.
Well, he supports my views the most. I don't know.
But what about his messaging? Now we're gonna get sidetracked into the libertarian party and what's going on. Isn't there a convention coming?
They just
up?
had a debate, and the convention comes up in 2 days.
Oh,
2
wow.
days away. We'll find out who it's probably going to be Austin Peterson or Gary Johnson. Most likely Gary Johnson, just because one of the Koch brothers did just pledge tens of millions of dollars to Gary Johnson's campaign. So we can see that there is a libertarian movement going on, even for a Koch who supposedly is there just for big business. And these libertarians don't really believe in that. They don't really believe in any type of cronyism or this crony capitalism. They kind of believe in a free market. And Koch is definitely this supposed demon, according to the left, but yet he's supporting libertarians. Kind of hard to believe, I guess, from my perspective.
I kind of stoked the libertarian fire there.
Yeah, why would you go ahead and do
I don't
that?
know. I poked the sleeping bear.
It's 11:30 at night. You're getting me riled up about libertarians.
This could be a 4-hour show about Luke going on about libertarianism.
Yeah, they got their problems. So now I can't really trust Glenn Beck because of his past.
Glenn Beck over the last few years has totally come off the rails. I mean, I'm probably in the minority of saying that he was on the rails. He was on the right.
You're definitely one of the few.
He was on the right track for a while, but now he's just kind of like really out there campaigning for Ted Cruz. I mean,
making kids cry on stage.
Crying on stage, saying that Ted Cruz is God's chosen candidate. I mean, I just don't trust Glenn Beck anymore. I feel like some sort of deal was struck at this meeting. I mean, we don't know anything that was really said there. All they have said, assuming, let's just say that there was no non-disclosure agreement. All they have said about the meeting is vague generalities, and they've all come out in favor of Facebook, saying that Facebook hasn't done anything wrong. That people who say that Facebook is censoring are conspiracy theorists. And to me, that's a bunch of malarkey.
It's malarkey because it's very true. We know because Facebook, ex-employees from Facebook were the ones who actually...
He trashed, Glenn Beck trashed the Gizmodo article saying that those were just disgruntled blah, blah, blah. And
even if you're disgruntled doesn't mean you can't be correct about an issue. I mean, you could be angry about something. That's exactly the reason why maybe you do expose the issues. So I can't really go ahead and believe Glenn Beck about that then. But I mean, what are your views on the actual topic? Are you angry that Facebook did this? Are you going to go ahead and protest them? You're going to go ahead and have any? I mean, I just want to go and know your view on the actual issue.
I feel like talking about this story now may be a mistake for us because we haven't started our Useful Idiots Facebook page.
We have not, which is probably bad. So as soon as Mark Zuckerberg or anyone of their editors
it's gonna get pulled.
You guys will never know about us on Facebook.
I don't know. I mean, if Facebook claims that, it's kind of a funny issue because if Facebook claims that the stories that are trending are legit, that's what you're talking about, that's what people are talking about, then that's kind of a lie if they're manipulating what the story is.
May be.
But also at the same time, they're a private company.
Oh. And I didn't know you were going to actually pull that in.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were setting me up for.
I was setting you up so I could say my very humble opinion about it afterwards, but you're already kind of touching on it.
Facebook is a private company, so there's kind of a lot of give and take there.
The company's allowed to do whatever they want.
Company's allowed to do whatever they want, but
if you don't like it,
are they lying?
Doesn't matter if they're lying or tell you the truth, I don't think it matters if they're lying or not. If they are lying, if you feel like they're lying, you have the right to go ahead and just
not post there or go somewhere else.
Exactly. Now there aren't really any other alternative sources. MySpace is dead for the most part.
This thing called Twitter is still around.
Twitter, I haven't used Twitter ever.
We're gonna have to start.
I know.
We better not bag on Twitter too just yet because we haven't started the Useful Idiots Twitter page.
We're gonna be like Milo and get our tweets deleted.
Oh, Milo, you remember? We didn't even talk about Milo getting his tweets deleted.
I you didn't know that I knew that.
Wow, we're both pulling out stuff that we don't know the other one knows.
It's more fun that way.
Right here on Useful Idiots.
Yeah, which you can visit us at usefulidiots.net, by the way.
Yeah, anytime you want. I feel like we've plugged every other website.
Yeah, might as well plug this one. Yeah. So I agree that I do not care if a private company wants to go ahead and run their business the way they decide. If that means they want to censor conservative news outlets or trending stories from conservatives, what do I care?
Where does free speech fall in there for you then?
Well, the conservatives have any right to go anywhere else to go ahead and get their message out there. It's not really to me a hinder of free speech. It's just a business who's deciding that.
But what if the government calls Facebook and says, "Hey, keep this quiet. We don't want people talking about
It's a different
this.
story. I do believe that the government has no right to go ahead and infringe on our freedom of speech. Now, if the government's paying off or getting involved in a private company and denying us liberties, different story. If a private company doesn't want to serve a black or a gay man or hire a black...
Facebook is a publicly traded company. Just throwing it out there.
Even if they are publicly, then the people can go ahead and use the free market the free market effect will go ahead and allow people to go and back their actual support from the company. If they do not want to go ahead and invest in a company that does that supports this kind of actions, then they have the right to go ahead and pull their funding away from the actual stock.
A good example of that is Target.
Yeah, because of their whole transgender thing.
Because of their bathroom policy, all the outrage that on the right has sparked their stock price has gone down. They've gotten a lot of bad publicity. I mean,
I don't really see why it's even an issue.
I don't either, but I was just, that was to your point.
Yeah, I get it. I
that
just want
if a company is doing something you don't like, there are things you can do.
Exactly. You don't need the government
go to a
step
different
in.
social media website,
or
shop
Walmart
elsewhere.
instead of Target. Exactly.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I go to Walmart.
Yeah, I do too, but
Well, we can't afford anything different.
It's Walmart is a weapon of last resort, I feel.
Yeah, it's my first resort, if anything.
First resort?
Yeah, for
Yeah, you
everything.
like those long checkout lines there?
I just go to the Express now. I just go to the self-checkout
The
ones.
self-checkout
It's
is
amazing.
nice. I love the self-checkout.
Oh, man, I'm so happy. I hope they go ahead and just up the minimum wage to $15 everywhere, so then we just have more self-checkout.
More self-checkouts?
It'd be way easier.
You know, funny story. I was in a Jewel, local grocery store here in the Chicago area, and I don't know if I was waiting in line or standing near a line or trying to find a line to get into. I mean, they did have the self-checkouts there.
Why would you even go to the line when self-checkout's there? I don't think I've ever go to the self-checkout.
I think I
don't think I ever go to an actual line.
At this particular time, I was there during peak hours, so I was assessing my options, and I heard someone say, referring to the self-checkout line, that that you don't want to go there because because that took away someone's job on the principle of it, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Did you?
Why
didn't you go ahead? And,
I didn't say anything.
Why would you lose an opportunity?
Well, I'm not going to talk to random strangers. It was like a mother with her child or small child.
I talk to random strangers all the time. It's enjoyable.
Well,
way.
that's your thing. That's not me. I'm like, I have my fedora hat and my trench coat on. I'm
just trying to hide from the
just
world.
Sort of hide from the world. I think it was like a Sunday morning or something. I think I wanted to get food before a Bears game or something like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You always have to do the pre-Jewel run for the Bears game.
Yeah.
And the one thing you need to go and tell people like that is that even if you might lose a job for a cashier or something, you do understand that there's people that need to be paid to go ahead and watch the actual self-checkout. You also need people to go and create the machines to make self-checkout. You also need drivers to drive the self-checkout machines to your store, and then you need installers for the self-checkout. You just created 5 different jobs instead of the one job that you're believing that you're actually losing.
Well, and if there's a place that has self-checkout, I'm much more likely to go to it.
Exactly.
It's gonna drive business if more
it drives
people go.
business. Yeah.
If like the bad line, Walmart is probably the best example or the worst example of a place with bad checkout lines.
Terrible checkout lines.
It doesn't matter what time of day, how busy it is.
Always feel like they're understaffed.
They never have enough people ringing people out. You're going to wait on line when you leave Walmart. It's just a fact.
It's terrible.
Although they do now have the self-checkout line, so they're a little bit better.
Even
I
those,
didn't think
they're
we
all
would
broken.
be talking about...
Why are they all broken?
Before we started the show today, I did not think we were going to be talking about Walmart self-checkout.
Things just go down the rabbit hole, man. You end up really going down the money trail on these issues.
Down the money trail, huh?
Bunny trail.
Bunny trail.
Bunny trail.
Oh, I thought you said money trail. I wasn't quite sure what that was. Is that a thing? I don't know.
You can
Is
Google
that something
it.
we could say on the air?
You can Google it while I go ahead and talk. I guess wrap it up for the Facebook conservative issue, and then our show basically can be wrapped up after that. But do you have any insightful thing to say about it?
I thought I said all the insightful things I could think of.
I was kind of hoping to say more.
Oh, is there something I missed?
No, but now you didn't. I guess not. I mean, we can go ahead and say
I
that.
surprised you with that whole. Should I go back and say that they're not? It's a free speech issue and the private company thing. I surprised you with that.
I did not expect that at all. I thought you were for sure going to be on the side of.
I wasn't even trying to think of what you would say.
It's tyrannical that Facebook would even do this. That's what I thought you would say.
I mean, I feel like it is tyrannical.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, they are a private company. You don't have to go on Facebook.
Exactly. It's a different story. Like when the woman was denying gay marriage licenses in Alabama, I believe it was.
I thought it was like Kentucky.
Kentucky, maybe. Yeah, that's a different situation. You're working for the government. You're working for a public company. That means you cannot really use your own personal beliefs. I believe in that situation. You're working for a public good. I mean, it's government. You're being funded by the same people that you're denying.
Yeah, that was a strange story to me.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I had to hold my sister with a paper on that one. So it was a pretty intense thing for me. Yeah, she didn't understand half the stuff I was talking about.
So in the paper, did you argue for her or against her?
Against her. I despise that woman for that. I mean, if you really didn't want to do that, you just leave your job, do something else.
I thought for the purposes of writing the paper that you might have argued for her.
No.
Because I would guess the majority of people are going to argue against her. So I figured you would want to rebel.
You want me to be? Yeah, I'm usually a rebel, but and maybe eventually Rebel Pundit will go ahead and take me on their staff. Yep. So we can say safely that the useful idiots kind of exposed the left's hatred of free speech.
Free speech today.
There you go, man. I can't even speak.
And we talked about various checkout lines at grocery stores.
Yeah, that's the golden section of all this. All right. Well, how soon do you think we're gonna make another show, Paul?
Probably about next week, I would think.
Next week. All right, because this one took a little longer than we expected.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
We'll see you.
Can we get sued saying that?
We can get sued for probably every single thing we use. Probably talking about anything, slandering Facebook and stuff.
Same useful time, same useful channel. Here on usefulidiots.net.
Usefulidiots.net.